Now, how many was That's the Mazarus guy speaking to you live from Japan. Now, today is the 22nd of August, Saturday, 2026, and it is getting notably cooler, especially in the morning, guys. And I can smell the air being light out of autumn already. Thank God. And I've been watching news and people for a while, and it feels like, sorry, and now is kind of time the worldly matters like credentials, honors, and even money, right? And if you're not even healthy, and in the first place, that is, and aren't really getting you anywhere. It's like it's a it's a harsh time we are living. Anyway, today, I have, to my standard, an incredible update to tell you, regarding the ongoing notorious visa reform, if not an anti-immigration sentiment in Japan, and you know what I'm talking about if you have been following my videos in the past, perhaps for a week or two. Anyway, let me start by saying that, just like how the United States have 50 states, right? Yeah, 50 states, right? Each having, its own governor, like the governor of Texas. Japan has what's called the prefectures instead of states, of course, and we have 47 of them in total, which includes Tokyo, and each having its own governor. Yes? Well, guess what, guys? All the governors from 47 prefectures, 47, and I repeat, all the governors, all the way from Hokkaido in the far north to Okinawa in the south, they have made a joint statement opposing the ongoing questionable visa reform in Japan, if not as a cheap anti-immigration sentiment. And one of their representatives, who happens to be the governor of the Shizuoka prefecture, has personally submitted the joint statement in written, which is this. I have a copy with me here today, downloaded, and excited to share with you today. He's given this to the Minister of Justice, who is one of the cabinet members of the Takaichi administration. Marvelous. Anyway, now, when was this? Now, this has happened on the 5th of August, which is a little while ago, which was about, 2 weeks ago then. And so you would think, where was I? And what was I doing? Well, guys, it's like, I only got to know this on Tuesday this week, because this was made less than ostentatious on the news. Well, it's like if there was a news on TV, right, that anyone has noticed, I didn't, right? It's certainly nowhere near as how the visa reform was made conspicuous, because I'm telling you, most of the media in Japan, right, they don't wish to conflict with the administration, right, whose most of the votes come from the dodgy Japanese religious sectors. If not, they are the ones, that are, they're pulling the strings and behind the administration, which is nothing new in the past half a century. And talking about someone in particular, that's been pulling the string behind the administration, there is one powerful person I should mention who is higher than the prime minister, like a secret boss in a video game. And I don't know if you play video games, or a shadow prime minister, whose name goes by that of Aso Taro-san, who might be the driving factor of this visa reform and a little more than that. And I say this because when he was in Rome, or Vatican, should I say, to meet with the Pope the other day as a representative of Japan, the Pope he kind of brusquely dismissed him, right? Not even a handshake. And he just passed by, together with his entourage, as if he was less than significant to the Catholic, or did not want anything much to do with him in the first place. And that may have, rubbed his scale the wrong way, and hence decided to kick out all the immigrants from the personal grudge just to make a point. I think what the Japanese government should keep in mind is that the Catholic Church is perhaps one of the oldest and formidable diplomatic entity in the world, who knows what the people in power are doing, and perhaps in a lot more finer, detailed manner than anyone can imagine, because they have been in this business for a long time, long before Japan did, and their religious network extends throughout the globe, as you know. Anyway, just coming back to the topic, right? When I heard the news about this, right? The governor's joint statement, and I thought that if there is somebody in a parliament being told about this while he's listening to the music like this, right, and he's going to piss his pants, because if you are an American, think about this. If you're an American, how would you think if all the governors from all the 50 states, all of them, right, opposed the Trump administration all of a sudden in cohesion? They're going to be, pressing the panic button, right? Well, guess what, guys? That is exactly what's going on in Japan now. And today, I would like to share you a punchline written on this joint statement that might shock the stomach out of your mouth, all right? Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but to make a point, let me read the line in Japanese for you, all right? It says, 国は外国人を労働者として見ているが、地方公共団体から見れば日本人と同じ生活者であり、地域の担い手でもある。And there is a part that says, 真の秩序ある共生社会の道である。Well, okay, well, let me translate this, and it goes like this. Now, this country, as in Takaichi administration, that is, it views the foreigners as a mere workforce. But we, as in Governors Association, right, as in we, we see the foreigners as inhabitants, no different from the Japanese, right? Let me repeat that, guys. Inhabitants no different from Japanese, who are the breadwinners for the prefectures, and they deliberately didn't say breadwinners for the country. So, I think they didn't want to piss off the administration. Anyway, and there is a part that says the genuine society of orderly coexistence, which means, I think that's a euphemism to say that we are less than a genuine society as of yet. Guys, I don't know how you thought about this, but to me, this is none other than a punchline with a lot of euphemism in it, like a steel fist in a velvet. It is carefully worded, and I couldn't have written it better. The big euphemism, then what is it? The first thing that came to my mind from reading this is that living under the Takaichi administration means that the moment you step in, right, into Japan as an immigrant or workforce, you quickly find out that you are treated like some kind of a third-class passenger in Titanic. And work your ass off and piss off when you can't work anymore. They even decline you from making a simple debit card. Hilarious, right? Which I have seen in the other YouTube channel about this French woman living in Japan complaining with her boyfriend. This is nothing new, which people in Japan, this is nothing new which people in Japan don't want to admit. But the point is that now this is made public on a governor's joint statement, which is a bold statement made by the big people, who couldn't have been any bigger or better people saying this. And remember, there's got to my mind. It gets to my mind, how the punchline said inhabitants no different from the Japanese. What this is saying is, guys, it's like there is an inherent or a preconceived idea that the foreigners are either a second-class citizen or less, if not a subhuman to the Japanese. And it's fair to say, what a bunch of self-centered racists. And talking about classes, right? Since I've mentioned class, right? This is an exposure of Japan being a third-class country in basic human rights. And by all means, this joint statement made by the governors in Japan should have been made by the United Nations, whose job is about keeping a close eye on human rights, right? Don't you think so? And the irony is that Japan has been vying for a permanent seat in the Security Council for God knows what, since the inception of the UN. And my take is, guys, Japan has a long journey to even deserve a seat. And I have a funny feeling that the UN is going to financially collapse anyway, long before there is a chance of that happening. Anyway, if there is anything else notable to let you know about this joint statement, there are there were quite a few good points written as well. The document advises the administration to create something of an organization of multiculture. Perhaps this is my interpretation of what they are insinuating. To my interpretation, right, is to create a ministry of multiculture, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because Japan needs people anyway, and there is no other way to become multicultural to offset the ever-shrinking population of this country. And the document, and it also invokes the reader to think about the reality versus the idealism, political one. One such passage says that there are already immigrants, right, who have reached old age naturally, because there are more than 4 million of them now, and meaning that it's about time they live on the pension, and that there are second and even the third generation living together in the vicinity, and I'm sure it is as close to human rights violation to evict these generations altogether from Japan all of a sudden in the name of somebody's personal vendetta. Anyway, I think I have delivered you an update worthy of a video today, and I thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today, and I will see you again soon.